Pearl is the latest movie from A24 and Ty West. As most of you know, it is the prequel to the movie that came out earlier this year, X. I do have it on Blu-ray. That is a movie that I really loved. The more I've thought about it, the more I really do like it. At the time, I was really enjoying it. But I feel like at the time I kind of jumped the gun by saying it was an A minus. How I felt back then was probably more close to like a B plus, which I know isn't like a huge difference to you guys, but in my head, my ratings, I don't know, I really put a lot of weight on those. That's how I enjoy a movie. But the more I thought about it, and I rewatched it on Blu-ray, it's visually gorgeous, and it is pretty terrifying. So I don't know. I do really love that movie, but it's definitely gotten topped this year in terms of other horror movies and just other quality movies coming out in general. So yeah, while I do still love X, it is a very, very solid horror film for A24. I was definitely more excited to see Pearl. I definitely thought Pearl was way more up my alley. The trailers for it were absolutely awesome. Some of the best marketing, I think, done for a movie like this in a very long time. I like how it was revealed in the trailer. That was all really great. And I don't know, this just definitely seemed way more up my alley in terms of what I like in horror. And you know what? I loved Pearl. This movie was absolutely great. I think it's on the same quality as X, but I definitely like it more. You'll see after I fully explain. But yeah, we'll put a pin in that for right now. So what I'm going to talk about first is a little obvious. I don't know. I feel like everybody has been mentioning this in particular about this movie. Even people who didn't like it are admitting that, yes, Mia Goth gave one of the best performances in a horror movie I've seen in a very, very, very long time. She's up there with like Toni Collette in Hereditary, and is it Kathy Bates in Misery, and like just horror like horror performances in general, or like Donald Pleasance, I think that's his name, in the original Halloween, or even Jamie Lee Curtis. Just stuff like that. She is definitely up there now. She completely owned this movie. She genuinely gives an Oscar-worthy performance. Like, I'm going to be upset if she isn't at least nominated, because she acted her heart out. She gave so much range and so much depth to the character that wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for her. I don't know, she just completely owned this entire film. And not to say that the other performances were bad, but she was like the centerpiece of it, and she was flawless. I can't really pick out any scene where I thought she, like, I don't know, even like messed up a line delivery, or maybe like that was a little slow paced and she didn't help it move along. No, she was the complete driving force behind this movie, and I feel like her full commitment to this character is what set it over the edge. And like, she co-wrote the movie, which makes a lot of sense. I feel like this is very much a passion project for her, and you can just see that care and passion like seeping through the scene in all of her scenes. There's a monologue towards the end, which again, most of you have probably already heard about, that is really something to watch. It was a lot, but but just wow. Like, I can't believe she pulled that off. I pulled that off, excuse me, so well. The cinematography and color grading in this movie were also phenomenal. It is set in the early 1900s and uses a lot of older film technique, like a lot of transitions and a lot of like longer shots, and I don't know, the way this movie's framed, and especially the color grading, is very much old school. Like, it reminded me of like the Wizard of Oz, like that kind of, like, where the colors are just popping off the screen. But it never looks fake. It never looks cheap or like a stupid filter over it. And I feel like it even more so takes advantage of its environment and the colors and the overall tone of the movie even more so than X. Like obviously X was going for a very different time period. I just feel like this movie visually has more of a personality and really stands out and is some of my favorite cinematography and editing and staging and like lighting, like the technical aspects of like the visual side of the movie. Probably my favorite of any movie all year, besides like Everything Ever All at Once and the Batman and Nope. Then not to be like it's my favorite except for these ones, but I don't know. I really want to emphasize how much I loved Pearl from a visual standpoint. It was everything I could have ever hoped for and more. And the commitment to this horror drama style really worked for me. How it was like posing as this rags to riches story, and how it fully committed to being this big sweeping like character drama like a lot of older movies are. I really enjoyed that, but also having like the really messed up and disturbing scenes meshed in. It really worked well together. I really thought that Ty West and Mia Goth pulled that off really well in the screenplay. And speaking of screenplay, it is significantly better than X's. I feel like X kind of had a little bit of a dialogue problem where, I don't know, there were just moments where it was a little much, and it could be a little too overly committal to it, the style, and where with this movie, I feel like it really matched it well. It didn't feel like Oscar baity like a lot of other period pieces obviously can be. It didn't feel cheap at all. The dialogue felt really rich and suiting to this kind of movie, and I think that both Mia Goth and Ty West deserve a lot of props for that. They crafted a very, very good screenplay here. And some of the negatives that I have for this movie, which I will get into now, they're very minuscule, if any. Like I had a very hard time finding stuff I disliked in this movie. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved Pearl. I loved the style. I loved what kind of movie it was. I love that it completely committed to it. I loved Mia Goth in this thing. I loved the horror aspects. I loved it visually. Pearl is definitely going to be up there on my favorite movies of this year. Now, it does fall into some of the trappings that Ty West movies can, it is a bit too slow in places, and it doesn't fully capitalize on some of its ideas. Like, I wish that sometimes Ty West would just let loose and make a really, I don't know, like intense scene. I feel like a lot of his horror is more about like the quiet of it and like being in that moment with the characters. And while that works a lot, especially for X, that worked. I hate to keep comparing this movie to X, but obviously it's one overarching story and theme, so I'm gonna have to compare it to X. Like in X, I feel like it worked more with like having like the horror be up front and in your face and feeling like intimate almost, but in like a disturbing way. With this movie, I wish it would have leaned into like the colorful and the the not like cartoonish side, but played it up a little bit more instead of it just being like shocking. And yeah, again, some of the slower moments I felt like could have been picked up a little bit more. But other than that, I absolutely loved Pearl. This is definitely one of my favorite movies of the year. I do like it more than X, significantly so, but in a way where I'm going to give it the same grade. I'm going to give Pearl a very, very strong A-. I loved this movie. I thought it was very, very, very great. But yeah, I'm giving them the same grade, but I do like Pearl a decent amount more. I don't know. I'm weird in my head about that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm very excited for Maxine. I can't wait to see what that is when it's finally unveiled to us. And A24 just keeps pumping out phenomenal movies. I don't understand how they've managed to do this year, but yeah. So, I've seen a decent amount of movies that I haven't reviewed. Like I saw Funny Pages, I saw Honk for Jesus, I saw We're All Going to the World's Fair. Can't remember what other movie. I watched some of the Pinocchio movie. I'm gonna be doing maybe like a roundup review, maybe a longer format roundup review. I'm not really sure at this point, but I'm going to be seeing. I also saw Emily the Criminal. Completely forgot about that movie. Um, but I'm going to be seeing Don't Worry Darling this weekend, so definitely going to review that. And there's a decent amount of movies that are coming out that I'm going to see and review. And also, I'm going to be doing something with Cameron, who's on the phone. Cameron, say hi.
Hi. It took me a minute, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Um, we are going to be doing a big Halloween thing that I won't really discuss details about until we have it fully figured out. But yeah, other than that, I will see you guys in the next video.